Hey guys, this is John Dean coming at you from Nomad Happy Hour, a podcast for nomads by nomads. Today on Nomad Happy Hour we have Trey and Erica. Trey and Erica we met out at Ehrenberg, Arizona at Schoolypalooza. We just didn't have time to do an interview with them out there, so we met up with them here in Sedona, Arizona, and today we're going to get their story. They're going to tell us a little bit about where they've been, where they came from, and how they decided to get on the road. All right, guys. So how long have you guys been on the road for?
We got on the road October 1st was when our lease was up. We bought the bus in July and only had about 2.5 months to get it ready.
So just about 6 months now.
Yeah, six,
6
7
months?
months.
Yeah, 6 or 7 months.
And where did you guys start your journey from?
We started the journey in Craig, Colorado, which is kind of northwestern Colorado.
And that's originally, I believe, where you're from, right?
Yep, that's where I'm from. That's where I grew up. And so we actually ended up purchasing the bus from a gentleman that was in Meeker, Colorado, in that same area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool area, is Meeker area. I was just outside of there when I lived in Colorado. Now, can you guys explain to me a little bit what kind of bus, what year this is, maybe what the motor size is, all that kind of information?
Our bus's name is BB. BB is a 1997 International. She's got the DT466E engine in it, and she has a Bluebird body.
And I see that it is still yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason why you guys kept it yellow so far, or are you guys going to
Just
keep it
time.
yellow?
Yeah.
Just time. I wanted to paint it first before we did anything, and we were like, maybe we should get it livable instead of actually just painting the outside first.
We only had about 2 months to convert it before our lease was up. We were living in a rental, and so we decided to kind of tackle the inside of the bus first before we moved on to do the outside. But it's on the to-do list, so that's one of our projects that we haven't quite gotten to finish yet.
Would you guys mind explaining to us and the listeners of a little bit of what you guys did to the bus in those 2 months to get it livable for yourself to get out on the road?
Absolutely. So when we bought the school bus, it was a regular school bus. It had all the seats in it. There was metal paneling on the roof, metal paneling on the side. So the first step in the process was kind of deconstructing everything. So we ended up pulling out all of the metal paneling, pulling out all of the seats, pulling out all of the old insulation that was in the ceiling and in the walls as well. And then from there, we ended up getting it spray foam insulated, which was kind of a process in and of itself. You kind of start by putting straps in the wall and then spray foaming on top of that so that you have something to screw your wall into. And then after that, we ended up mounting the ceiling, so putting beadboard on the ceiling, putting some beadboards on the wall, and then our floor right now is just exposed plywood. And so that was kind of the second part of the process, and to finish, we ended up putting in our furniture, and that was kind of the last thing that we did.
Yeah, the easy part.
Yeah, the furniture. So, and we're not quite finished yet. We still are wanting to do utilities. That's what we kind of ran out of time for. So right now we're kind of in the process of researching, the different equipment we need to install the utilities. So that would be the running water pump, electricity, and that kind of thing.
As we all know, living in this lifestyle, these homes never stop being built, though.
Oh, yeah.
Even when people are like, oh yeah, my home is totally converted, it's like, no, I bet you we can find something that you can do
Some
to it.
Or a little
to work
project
on,
you want to do,
Yeah, we seem to be just taking it one little step at a time. When we left, we didn't have a bathroom in here, so the first step to make it more comfortable was doing a bathroom, and so we ended up building the compost toilet while we were on the road. And so we're just kind of trying to chip away at it, kind of take one project at a time,
We didn't have curtains either, so this exposed thing was showing, like our wiring was showing, and it was like driving us nuts.
Yeah.
But we parked at a place for about a month, and that was where I worked on the curtains, and then Trey worked on the back. Well, we both worked on them together, but worked on that together.
And that was surprisingly, the curtains are so important just to keep people from looking in, as well as keeping that sun out in the morning, keeping the heat out. It makes quite a difference of keeping the heat out. And luckily Erica's really talented on the sewing machine, so we custom did all of our curtains as well.
It's nice to have two people and each person have their own strengths. You know, I'm sure there's certain things that you guys get to work on together, but at the same time, you know, it sounds like Erica's got like sewing strengths, and maybe you have the building and maintenance and kind of strengths.
It's a little silly too. I'm gonna be completely honest with everybody here. I just operate the tools. Erica tells me what to do. She'll tell me how's the layout all Erica. You know what I mean? And it was funny, as we were building it, it seemed like we would sometimes clash heads on ideas, and we'd be arguing, and about an hour into us arguing, I'd be like, oh shit, Erica's right. Like, you know what I mean? So Erica's definitely the brains of the operation. I'm just the saw guy.
All right, guys, take notes from Trey. It's all the women's ideas for these rigs. We just put the stuff in place.
I'm just the dude with the saw,
Okay.
so.
We've somehow managed to keep plants alive.
Are these some of the places that you guys have been, or
Yeah.
since you've been in the bus?
A few of them were from before we got in the bus. Most of them are from when we've been in the bus.
No, I think we talked about a couple days ago is that you're going to be starting mechanic school, a diesel mechanic school. Now, did you want to do that in the past, or is it just because you're living in the bus now, or?
That's actually been a journey that's just been because of the bus. I think when we started out, we really didn't know too much about any kind of maintenance on the bus. And as we kind of learned more about it, I think I became a little bit more interested in mechanics. And also we realized how many people have buses with the same kind of engine that we have. And so to me, it kind of seemed like it would be really, you know, a pretty valuable skill to know how to work on these school buses. And it's a pretty fascinating subject to really get in there, you know. So I am starting college in fall at the Yavapai Community College here in Arizona. It's a year-long diesel tech certificate program, so I'm pretty excited for that. Yeah.
And when does that start?
It starts at the end of August.
So is that going to be your guys' next journey? Are you guys going to be hanging out for a while, or what's the next plans coming up?
Well, after we're done in Sedona and kind of exploring this area, we're going to move our way back to Colorado and see some of Trey's friends and family from Craig, and probably stay there for 2 or 3 weeks, see some family, and then make our way to Michigan to see my family, and spend June and July hanging out in Pentwater, Michigan, which is near like Ludington on Lake Michigan. We found my grandpa has like some property with a pole barn garage that we can park the bus at. It's like shaded, so we're really excited to be able to park there by family, but still like live in our own space, go visit my parents, and
hopefully have a little bit of help with some projects on the
Yeah.
bus. You know, Erica's dad has said that he's going to help us out a little bit.
maybe
and-
paint the bus.
Yeah, we're thinking about doing pretty much a full rework on the inside here and kind of changing
Ripping
some of the
everything
stuff.
back out again?
Yeah.
Well, we
Or-
want to do the
Everything,
floors.
yeah.
The floors were one thing that we didn't have time to do at the end, and so this now is just like our subfloor with a lot of like rugs over the top. But it would be really nice to actually put like a vinyl, you know.
Right, either flooring or doing some kind of more finished plywood flooring, you know, whether that would be painting it or sanding it and staining it. And then we're hoping to put in a few, maybe some more cabinets as well. And of course, the fridge is the big part. Right now, we're rocking
Yeah.
the coolers. We got 2 big old coolers with ice that we have to restock on ice pretty frequently. So I think the fridge is a really big step in the right direction as far as being more independent on the road and not having to go to the gas station so much, you know.
Now the fridge issue with the, you know, having a cooler, about how often do you guys have to change out or put in new ice?
That just depends. What we've found is if you can get the block ice, that is a huge help. The block ice at the bottom of the cooler should probably last about 6 to 7 days. If you end up having to do the bags, you're looking about 3 to 4 days, maybe 4 to 5 if you push
three
it.
to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you wrap a blanket around the top, it helps too, which
Yeah.
is silly, but
It
yeah,
is.
we have
It's
to
kinda
tuck our
funny.
coolers in at night. Yeah.
Well, Marcia, the high top van over here, I don't know if you've seen her, she runs on a cooler system also, but she took the reflex, the reflectix
Reflectix, yeah.
windows, and she covered the whole outside of her
Oh, that's a good
cooler.
idea. Yeah.
That's a really
And then cut a slit basically around the top, so that way it's attached to the lid and it's still
okay.
Oh,
is
nice.
able to open. So then that way it gives her an
Like super
extra
insulated.
an extra
Yeah.
That's
layer
a
of
great
insulation.
idea.
The other thing that I've seen online, and I haven't really seen anybody do this in person, and I'm kind of curious to know if it works, but if you take
a lower end cooler basically, and the outside wall and inside wall there's a gap in between.
Mm-hmm.
Now if you took spray foam, basically drilled a couple holes in there
Oh.
and spray foamed inside that wall,
Mm-hmm.
it would also give you
Give you an
better.
extra layer of insulation.
Exactly.
That's a good
Yeah.
idea too.
Because those Yetis or the name brand are so expensive too.
that's
It's
too
like at that point
expensive.
it's like half the cost of a fridge. you
Yeah.
know?
Really, all it is plastic on the outside,
Yeah.
plastic on the inside, and a certain kind of
A nice
insulation really on the
insulation in
end.
between.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, you guys, Erica, you're from Michigan. You're from Colorado, Trey.
Mm-hmm.
When and where did you guys meet? Since there's like such
Yeah.
that big gap in between, Michigan and Colorado.
I moved to Colorado by myself in 2015. Is that right? And just like a little Chevy Cruze in my cat Jude and some clothes, and figured I'll go to like grad school there, and was looking at schools and working at restaurants while I was like trying to figure out my next step. And Trey and I met working at a restaurant called the Mercury Cafe in Denver. They host like dances and poetry and live music. It's like very bohemian. There's like a in-house tarot reader, and it was really cool. So we met working there.
Yeah, at the time when we met, I was a line cook and she was a server. So the tale as old as time, man. The good old line cook and server, yo.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, man, at least it sounds like you guys both like to cook, so, you
Yeah.
guys can both help out in that section.
Oh yeah, we both really like to cook. We both worked in restaurants a lot,
Yeah.
like back of house and front of house. So
While you were out a little while ago, Erica was saying that you guys were talking about possibly getting like a short bus and turning it into just the kitchen.
yeah, that was a joke.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah.
That could be cool,
That'd
man.
be
Just
cool.
the kitchen bus, that would be really
Yeah.
cool.
That would
yo.
be a big old kitchen.
This
Yeah.
kitchen is bigger than a lot of kitchens I've had in apartments. So like bigger than an apartment I've had in Denver.
Yeah.
So we're like happy with the space, even if we can expand it a little more with more cabinets and stuff. I feel like we don't really bump into each other too much. The only really tight space is like right here in the bus. So
Doing
it
that
works
bus
well.
life shuffle.
yeah, the dance around. Yeah.
It took a little bit to adjust. It definitely did take a
Yeah.
bit to adjust. We came down to Arizona through Utah, so I think the first month was the adjustment
Yeah.
period. So if there's anybody out here like, just getting into it, the first month is the hardest, and
Yeah.
then it kind of smooths
Things
out
like
after
fall
that.
into place, and
Yeah.
it was very hard, like not knowing where we packed everything because we packed in such a rush, like
Yeah.
trying to move out of the rental house into this,
Yeah.
like cleaning out the rental house. It was a lot. So I think once we got like a little more settled and on the road, it was a lot easier.
Started to feel a little bit more comfortable, you
Yeah.
know.
Now, when you guys moved out of your rental house into the bus, was there a lot of stuff to get rid of, or were you guys
yeah.
already minimalist, quote unquote?
No.
Not so much.
No.
When we left Denver, because we moved to my hometown in Craig, and it was our first size down, so we did size down from 2 apartments to 1 house, and then we had to get rid of quite a bit when we got into the bus, for sure.
It's funny because when I remember back when I first moved into my van, I don't have this much space at all. But when I moved into my van, you almost have that feeling like I gotta take everything from my house and shove it in this vehicle, which is never gonna happen.
No.
It's just not going to work like that. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There's all different kinds of layouts. It's like you don't know what space you're gonna have for what.
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of part of the lifestyle, is accepting that there's some things that you can't bring with you. And some people end up getting a storage unit, but what we've heard in the community is that you get a storage unit, I mean, what are you going to do? It's just going to sit in there.
And then
So
they go back and clean it all
yeah,
out and get rid of it
yeah.
all. So
we just got it.
avoided
Yeah,
that.
we kind of just got rid of
Yeah.
it all.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's really not that difficult to get rid of stuff. I mean,
No.
certain people, they think it really is. I mean, the more sentimental, memorabilia kind of stuff, A cat and a down blanket as your heating system? Is that, is that what you
About it,
said?
yeah.
And this cat keeps you guys pretty warm? Or?
Yeah.
It's been pretty toasty. Like we said, we have like an electric heater that we can put on with the generator if it gets too cold, and we do have a little buddy propane heater, but the bus is a little bit too big for the little buddy. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem to heat it up very well.
It is well insulated though. It has we got it insulated by somebody that insulated houses. So anything above 35 has been
It's
fine.
usually pretty
Yeah.
comfortable. It's once it gets below 35 that it can start to be a little chilly.
And we've avoided snow this year. This is the first time both of us have had a winter without snow, so that's been really nice. We've mostly been following the weather, I would say.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that, Trey? Because I know that you snowboard.
Well,
Like your winter sports.
yeah, I feel like I did snowboard for about 5 or 6 years, and I was lucky because I had a job with the resort, so I got to snowboard to work every day, so it was like a daily thing. But it seems as I'm getting older, I'm getting tired of dealing with it because it snow's its own process in Colorado. It's like a 2 or 3 hour thing every day just to deal with shoveling it, and I don't feel like I really miss the snow that much, honestly.
No.
Yeah.
I do every once in a while when I see some of the guys making turns and stuff in Colorado. I'm like, oh, I'd love to be out there for the day.
Exactly. Yeah. For a little trip, maybe for a little taste, but living in it can get a little bit depressing.
Yeah,
you know.
for real.
Yeah.
I always say too is that if I'm in the snow, I need to be playing in it, and if I'm not in the snow, I don't need to be there.
Exactly.
Or, if I'm in the snow and not playing with it, then I don't need to be there, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So at this time, I usually ask the guests to kind of throw out some information for newbies that are coming out on the road. If you guys have anything to tell anybody that's new coming out into the lifestyle, it doesn't have to be in the school bus, and just being in the nomadic lifestyle.
I would say I always wanted to do this, but I didn't think that I could. I didn't think that I would be able to do the physical labor myself, or I don't know, it was more like a pipe dream, oh, that would be cool to be able to travel around in a school bus or a van or whatever. And I think it was getting over the fear was the hardest part. And a lot of it was luck. We found this bus for sale literally on the side of a road with a for sale sign in it. So I think just getting over that first initial fear. And I thought I had done everything the right way. I, went to a good school. I was always looking for jobs, internships, applying to all different kinds of jobs, thinking trying to go to grad school and do this American dream. And I was working 2 jobs, barely getting by, barely being able to pay rent. Denver's a really expensive city. I think that, I lost my train of thought. I just think it's scary, but I think that it was worth it, and I'm really glad I had the opportunity to do it. So if it's something that's on your mind that you've wanted to do, that you should pull the trigger. I only wish I would have done this sooner.
I think everybody says the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is either 1, I wish I would have done it sooner, or 2, just do it.
Yeah, because I thought, I had security before. I think I thought having a stick and brick house or renting the apartment, you felt safe, but really it was this illusion of security. That landlord could have kicked me out at any time for any reason.
Exactly.
And I feel now we actually own the bus. Any money we want to put into it is it's for our home and not for somebody else. I
We're
was
investing
busting
in
my
our
ass.
future.
To work 2 jobs for a company that didn't really care about you, to give to a landlord that doesn't really care about you. So I feel we're actually I feel a lot more secure now.
I think Erica hit on it pretty well. I would say 2 things. The first thing is that security is a myth, and it seems that it would be more secure to live in a regular stick and brick. But like Erica said, you never own it, and at any given second, your landlord can kick you out. And it's the same with depending on somebody else for your job, is that any second, if they decide to fire you, then they could. So even though it seems as nomads that we have less security, at least the security we have is ours, and it's something that nobody can take away from us. Second, and I think this is kind of silly because it's super unrelated, respect the truckers, yo.
Oh yeah.
Because it's so important, the job that they do for us. Any product that you see, anything in your house, anything anywhere, at some point has come into contact with a diesel engine and a diesel truck to move it from point A to point B. And we're out here, we're having fun, we're nomads, and that's all good. But the truckers, they got places to be, and they're really the ones that provide all of our security in any kind of way, you know what I mean? So respect the truckers, give them space. Give them space when they're making their turns. That's a big deal with big rigs that I think sometimes people in smaller rigs don't realize is if you see a trucker taking a left-hand turn, give them some space to do that, you know what I mean? And always respect them and give them the room that they need to do their job.
Yeah, this has totally changed how we would drive. Like, I could not, like, cars pull in front of us making turns all the time, and this is a 35-foot bus. We weigh probably between 11 and 15,000 pounds, and people trying to pass us on a double yellow with oncoming traffic. Like, I think just pay attention to surroundings, like, realize how precious life is, and
I think the
risk
biggest
other
thing that
people's-
comes from that message is respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Respect the
and-
truckers.
And respect the truckers, respect your neighbors, respect the people that
Absolutely.
you travel with.
You're never in so much of a hurry that you need to pass somebody to
Yeah.
get somewhere 5 minutes. And it's usually we see them
Yeah,
at the next
in
town
cars.
in the same parking lot, 5
It's
minutes.
so
in front
crazy
of us.
because they're stopped at a stoplight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You see
Or
them
they're
in the
parked in a
town.
parking lot spot for another 15 minutes texting on their phone. It's like, was
Exactly.
it that big of a rush?
Yeah.
Right.
To risk
And the
everybody's
thing
life
to
around
remember
us.
too is a
yeah.
car is essentially an enclosed go-kart, man. A semi-truck is a tractor. So don't forget that if you get hit by a semi-truck in a car,
Or a
like
bus,
in a
or
bus,
an RV.
so don't be reckless when you're merging into lanes with the semi-truck,
I think that kind of takes us into a safety point of the podcast. Like, is there anything on the safety side of things while you guys are out here other than driving safety, personal safety when you're in certain parking spots, or even finding your guys' camp spots? How do you guys go upon that?
Let's say it's important to listen to your instincts. If you get a bad feeling from somebody, it's probably for a good reason. Luckily, we haven't had any of those situations, but I would say just if you feel like somebody is, a
You're
little
getting
off,
bad
you're
vibes.
probably for a reason. I would say listen to your instincts.
I think what's so important too is that listen to your machine. You know what I mean? Because just because the speed limit is one posted thing doesn't mean that you need to go that fast. Listen to your machine and don't go faster than feels comfortable in your rig, And that's the other thing as far as safety goes. It's so important to keep up on maintenance on your vehicle, because that's the kind of thing that can put you in danger, if you lose a tire while you're going 65, if any kind of situation like that. So always keep a good eye on your machine.
Well, out here, our machines are our vehicle and they're our home.
Oh yeah.
So, if we break down, we're out of our home, we're out of our vehicle, and then we're even spending more money because we might have to go get a hotel room or an Airbnb, or maybe, hopefully, luckily, the mechanic will allow you to stay in your rig. I know some people have been able to do that in the past
While
too.
they're working on it.
Mm-hmm. When you guys, I noticed that you guys don't have shower hookups in here. I know a lot of the biggest top 3 questions, basically, of new people coming out here are either work, where do you shit, and where do you shower? So it's like, let's maybe end the podcast on how do you guys shit and shower?
Okay, it's important, and that's something that a lot of people ask us. And luckily, with the compost toilet, that's kind of taken care of the shit part. You know what I mean? And that's something that you have to adjust to when you get into the mobile life, and that's the reality of the situation. And I think that's actually another thing I really wanted to bring up. When you live in a house, the utilities, you don't even think about it. You just flip a switch on. It's there, you just flush the toilet. It's gone. If you're interested in the nomad life, you're going to spend a lot of time thinking about utilities.
Water.
Yeah, water, bathroom. And so we have the composting toilet, so that kind of solves the bathroom issue. For showers, it seems like we've been using a variety of different things, as far as sometimes rec centers, sometimes laundry mats, you know what I mean? Sometimes public showers,
Sometimes
if they're
a gas
available.
station, sometimes we also have like the solar shower that's like
Yep.
a 3-gallon. You'll heat it up on the hood of your car. It gets hot. That's not the best. It's not my favorite way to shower, but it gets it done. And I think also before I thought I needed to shower every day, and now I actually really don't. My hair actually feels a lot better not showering every day.
And that's the other thing. As Americans, we use a ridiculous amount of water a day, like seriously irresponsible, because right now the entire western half of the United States is in a mega drought, So we've definitely had to cut back on the amount of time that we shower, and no more baths anymore. I love to take a bath, but
too.
you have to give it up because right now is not the time to be using water irresponsibly,
Think how much water is in a bathtub.
It's ridiculous. And that's what I realized.
Or in one flush.
4 gallons for one flush of water in a standard toilet, which is incredible, just down the drain.
And now it takes us about 4 gallons to do all of our dishes, to do like a full tub of dishes, because we have it down to a science. You know, we can make 20 gallons of water last a week to a week and a half.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's usually about a week and a half. And that's the other thing, as a nomad, you learn respect the water. You have to respect water, and you have to be mindful about how much water you're using and where it's going and how you're using it.
Yeah, the water is definitely a huge source out here. And one way for me, I've noticed, to save on that is also be aware of what you do in that day. You know, like your laundry and yourself, because every day you don't need to take a shower, and every day you don't need to throw your clothes in dirty clothes. You know?
Again, guys, thanks for tuning in. That was another episode of Nomad Happy Hour. Without you guys tuning in, Nomad Happy Hour would not be available. If you guys are looking for Nomad Happy Hour merchandise, head on over to teesprings.com. Thank you again. Tune in every Friday for a new episode.